Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I'd be able to send videos of watches like this to your inbox as soon as tomorrow morning. If you like this watch, you can purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. Over 2,000 luxury watches live. Buy, trade, and sell luxury watches globally and 24 hours a day on thewatchbox.com. Today we're discussing a pilot's watch from a brand that does them well. The right kind of visibility for a pilot's watch on the wrist, and no, I'm not talking about the kind that draws stares while you're pulling into Cars and Coffee in your supercar. I'm talking about the real thing. A low-profile brand with a high-profile aesthetic designed to be seen at a glance and read with ease. This is the Sinn Duochronograph 756 from Sinn of Germany, a timepiece made in Germany to a universal standard. Excellence. It's an easy one to wear on the wrist. 40 millimeters across the round of the case, not including chronograph pushers or crown. It's far more compact than most watches that are self-consciously styled as pilots' references. But 40 millimeters gets the job done here. There's no confusion about what's being displayed on the dial, and from lug to lug, the span of 47.8 millimeters is quite wearable. If you choose to put it on a strap, that's going to be the span across the wrist. If you include the end links of the bracelet, you find it's a little bit broader, but not much, at 51.3 millimeters, and the thickness is quite reasonable at 14.3 millimeters. The nice thing about Sinn's measurements is that if you go on their website and you look at the measurements, they actually match when you caliper the case. I usually measure every watch that I show on the channel because the measurements as advertised often don't match the actual cases, and sometimes it can be rather dramatic, like a millimeter or more of case thickness. Sinn is always on point and on the mark. The timepiece is comfortable. As you'll note, the camber of the case, that is the arc of the lugs from side to side, really hugs the wrist, and the bracelet itself is robust enough to inspire confidence, but the links themselves are small enough that they feel silky and supple. It's much more comfortable than a 3-link Rolex Oyster. I would actually say it's as comfortable as Jubilee while still feeling as solid as an Oyster. On the underside, you'll note large gaps between the individual links. It's a 5-link design, much like the Breitling Pilot, but this is, in my opinion, more comfortable by some measure. It also aerates the wrist well. As you can see, plenty of gaps between the links to allow moisture, sweat, heat, or grit to escape. The price point of the watch is revealed only in perhaps, I don't know, the thickness or the gauge of the clasp components. That's about it. Everything else feels like it's 2 or 3 times as expensive, right down to the use of sizing screws rather than pin sleeves for an entry-level chronograph timepiece. Even the clasp itself is as solid as anything you'll get from Patek in the sports watch class. Nicely done, Sinn. Now moving back to the case, you can see, true to the company's functional aesthetic, there's very little high polish here. It's almost entirely in satin finish with simple, one might even say Bauhaus-inspired lines. Form and function truly are one. The dial is nicely executed in grayscale, white to black, with a matte gray about the base of the dial, high contrast white on gray and white on black calibration. Also note how the quarter Arabics have been superimposed over the scales of the individual registers. I appreciate that a good deal. You'll also note that the timepiece has plenty of luminescent surfacing, and I'm going to quickly resort to manipulating the time because this is a dual time watch. You could be mistaken for missing it though if you didn't see the stub second time zone hand. Now the nice thing about this setup is that you can quickly hide that hand and you can set everything in sync, so you can make the second time zone vanish when you don't need it, which is a wonderful refinement for cleaning up the aesthetic of the dial. Now the timepiece has a wonderful refinement that is all too rare in the world of dual time watches. You have the ability to quick set the date, and at the same time you have the ability to rapidly set the second time zone. Oftentimes when you do have a dual time watch such as a Rolex GMT Master, you have to endlessly spin and cycle an hour hand in order to cycle the date. Here you get a quick set for each. Well done, Sinn. Now there is an outer setting position where you can hack or stop the movement to set precisely to the second. Of course, it's a chronograph, and a chronograph that gives you large font calibration about its sub-registers. Chronograph seconds, minutes, and hours. It's a tri-register design. It's simple, it's handsome, and it inspires confidence in the hand. The crown and the stem tube assembly don't wobble or rattle like some watches can. That's the disparity between a lot of big butch sports watches and the feeling of operating the crown. Many of them feel spindly, like they're about to break off. Not the case here, and that's compounded by Sinn's D3 technology. What it is essentially is a sleeve that continues into the case so that the chronograph pusher assemblies are integrated into through fittings that penetrate the case. Now, I wouldn't go so far as to say this allows you to use the chronograph underwater, but what it does allow is significantly more structural integrity to the pushers themselves so that they're deeply set into the structure of the case rather than being vulnerable to shearing or abrasion. The action is excellent. Sinn extensively modifies and regulates its own movements, so though this is based on a Valjoux 7750 base automatic winding unidirectional 44-hour power reserve 8 beats per second, the regulation and the upgrades to the movements are all Sinn, and the upgrades are substantial. This uses Sinn's Diapal technology, something first introduced in 2001, now on a number of watches. It carries a 5-year warranty because it coats the pallet and the escape wheel with diamonds so that the two can operate unlubricated. An exceptional refinement, it allows superbly even and accurate running with very little vulnerability to the aging of lubricants. This is a system that Sinn created and Sinn implemented. You are not going to find this on any stock 7750. And the movement that you're getting in there is a high-grade 25 Joule 7750 in either top or chronometer spec, so the timepiece is an excellent time teller, highly legible, built with no-nonsense solidity, and it's even 200 meters water resistant with a screw-down crown. So if you do want to take this watch and you want to get wet and wild, it's not just for pilots, it's also for those who enjoy the sea and the surf. You want more, you got it. It's anti-magnetic to 80,000 ampere per meter, which means mil Gauss. That's right, 1,000 Gauss. It is equal to the legendary Rolex in that respect. Diamond-coated escapement, 2 time zones, 100, well, not even 100, 200 meters water resistant, anti-magnetic, 40 millimeters in diameter with a robust and comfortable bracelet. This is an all-around timekeeper. If you want a just one watch, one to wear with everything, bathing suits, business suits, and flight suits, this is it. This is the Sinn Duochronograph 756 in stainless steel, available on the watch box. And we're back with the Sinn Duochronograph 756. Beautifully bright, no nonsense by night. You can see this one by the light of day on the watch box.